Hey gang, my name is Glenn Weissel. I'm coming to you from the sunny state of Colorado today, and I am pleased to bring to you a brand new program which I'm going to be sharing with you all very soon. Let me share my screen first and we'll take off on this. All right, this is called Your Soul Essence as Art, the course. I'm going to help you solve and getting your art out into the world so you can reach and impact more people. And how are we going to do this? Many times as creatives, which I am in the visual arts, our strategy has been to throw darts to see if our art or your art gets noticed, and we hope that it gets sold. There is a better way to get this done, and we're going to cover that here in the next few slides. So before we get there, I want to start by saying we now live in the tribal economy. And what do we mean by that? Well, a really long time ago, tribes hung out together and did things together, and they shared what they did. So, which includes art in caves, food that they grew, or when they found ways to make tools and stones and fire, and took care of or killed some of their food. They shared that amongst their tribe, their community, their families. Long after that, the Industrial Revolution came along, and what that did was cause the availability of manufactured products like paint, tube paint, and made artists more mobile. So they no longer had to just stay stuck in their own studios. They actually were able to take stuff out into the field or wherever and make that available. And as well, art was created many times over through the use of manufacturing techniques. So that was the Industrial Revolution. In the information age, so we fast forward to the information age where the use of computers and technology came along, and digitizing art became the norm. And we make that available today through all kinds of social media, stored records, data, you name it, it's all been digitized into ones and zeros, what we call bits and bytes in the technology industry. And that's how we are doing business or getting our art out into the world today by sharing that through social media. While we're still painting and taking photographs, a lot of our communication is happening through information or technology. Now, to the tribal economy, again, that takes a scale of getting together with people to help them understand what it is we're offering, why we are out in the world producing art in the first place, and what we intend and hope to bring to the world through our art as creatives. And so by getting together with people on a regular basis, either through technology like Zoom, or in person, maintaining 6-foot distance during these Corona times. And yes, this is coming to you in May of 2020. So we are in the throes of COVID-19, and we have to take that into account as we are doing business today as creatives. It's really put an impact on what we're doing. So as you see, COVID-19 has really changed our collective lives. And what we are setting out to do during this time is to have a strong vision for our work and decide who we want to reach out to and influence with our art and how we go about doing that. Now, there's a quote that I found by Anthony T. Hinks. I don't know who that is, and that's probably not the gentleman we're seeing in the background, but he said, "As we awake from isolation, we will leave the past behind us, and we will all become one." Now, when I found this quote, I looked up who Anthony Hinks is a little bit, and he survived COVID-19, and he said it made him stronger. So whatever he's doing, Anthony, excellent, well done, you. I'm glad to hear that you are better off for having contracted COVID-19 and survived it, in your words. As a community of creatives, we have to get together and help one another get our art out into the world. And that also means getting together with whomever we want to work with. It could be gallery owners, could be coffee shop owners, or anyone in our community who can help us get our art out into the world. So I don't know how you're all feeling these days, but I'll tell you that me personally, I know I have been feeling frustrated, stuck, and quite invisible, even though I post a lot on the social channels and talk with as many people as possible about the art that I want to put out in the world. Right now, things are not moving forward as much as I'd like them to, and as much as I'm called to do to get my art out and influence people in a big way, because the work that I produce is what I consider guided work, which is why I call this the Soul Essence is Your Art program, because I am working from my soul, and we'll call it the transmissions or communication that I receive while I'm composing and setting up my art to create visual art. It's definitely a calling and a passion for me, and I know it is for all of you. And so right now, we're probably struggling quite a bit to make an impact in the world and getting our art out there. But the good news is there's things that we can do. So first, we're going to talk a little bit more about the madness and the misery. So right now, your art is invisible, or certainly could be invisible, based on how things are happening these days in the world. So another way of looking at this is you are invisible, or I am invisible. We collectively are invisible. And the reason for that is, we don't see a correlation between the gremlins in our head, those voices saying we're not worthy, with our ability to get noticed in the world and sell your art. You or we are stressed out with no hope of relief or anything changing anytime soon. So that's the first bit of madness that we are experiencing. Next, because of that, your lifestyle is very unpredictable. You believe you are a victim of circumstance, feeling powerless to change your present day and your future. The victim mentality of blaming is strong within you, and it is learned behavior, right? Learned behavior. You compare yourself with other people and make excuses for your lack of success. You say things like, I can't change the way I am, and I don't want to even try. That's very much how I'm feeling these days. Next, you have to fight the artist stigma, which is you have a sense of fatalism and see that other creative people live the same way as you do. You think this is the way an artist's life is supposed to be. And you hang out with other people, like-minded people, to justify your life as it is. So you know the artist stigma. I've heard this a lot throughout my life. Oh, so you want to become a photographer or an artist, eh? The starving artist. That's the words that I used to hear. And I have set that aside many years ago, and that is not an issue for me any longer. But there are a lot of artists out there who still hear that and still say that. And your art does not touch people. So why is that? You believe anyone who reaches for too much you believe that anyone who reaches for too much success is pulled back down into your community's financial comfort zone. So let's talk about this for a moment. I grew up in a very working class neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York years ago, and there weren't rich people at all. In fact, they were very much far away from wherever it was that we lived. Yet because of our upbringing and our status in the world, no matter what we do these days to be successful, there's still that consciousness or that energy about, this is where I came from, this is the community that I lived in, and this is the community status. Could be blue collar, it could be just above poverty level. Wherever we come from, that's where we tend to live. So you also live within someone else's expectations based on what you heard growing up. You say things like, I was born into this community and this is how we live. So with little expectation of getting out or doing anything different, we rise to the level of our own or other people's expectations. However, there's good news. So the mission and the meaning. To counteract the madness, we have mission and meaning. And the first one is, your art is visible and desired. So you might want things to be different in your future. In the present moment, you accept things as they are rather than resisting. That's the way you can make your life flow smoothly instead of roughly. You begin to see possibilities open up as you take your first steps to changing your future. So this is very much a philosophy of a lot of wisdom traditions where acceptance of where we are today, who we are today, is the first step towards making a positive change and positive impact in our lives and other people's lives. Acceptance is huge. I know from talking with other people and firsthand experience that things like Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or any of the other 12-step programs, one of the very first rules is to accept things as they are and stop fighting them. Because when you fight them, you're fighting what's happening within, and it's not helping the situation at all. In fact, it's going to make it worse. So acceptance, number one. Next, your lifestyle is stable. As a result of you change your life by stop blaming and pointing your fingers at other people saying, this is how I was brought up and this is how I was raised. This one fact alone makes all the difference. By accepting what is right now and by taking the first step to a different and brighter future, you take back your power and your life. So it's accepting where you are in life and taking responsibility for where it is you are and where you want to go. Huge steps. You quiet the artist stigma noise. You patiently and confidently partner with truth in such a way that divine expression comes through your work. You can feel the power of your art, your music, your writing, whatever it is you do as a creative, developing, and you keep working on it until you feel the thread of truth coming alive. This is very much what I was saying a little bit before about this being a divine work or a soul essence work. It's work that's important for us to get out into the world, and whatever it is that we need to do to make that happen are the steps that I believe that we want to and need to take to make that happen. Because we have a message, our truth, or the truth of the divine coming through us, through our art, our music, our words, our poetry, whatever it is that we are doing to create art, that's what's coming through, and that's the passion that we have and the calling from our soul. All right, the beauty is, in time, your art influences millions of people. So just consider you patiently and confidently partner with truth in a way that divine expression comes through. So again, the same thing. What is the power of the art that you are creating that is going to affect, impact, and have an influence on other people as they progress through their lives? Maybe it's something you've not consciously thought about before, but it's something that's been on my mind for a very long time and is definitely a truth of mine, is that I create art that is soul satisfying, that I know touches people in ways that I haven't even considered or thought about before. But when I post on social media and I get a lot of likes or comments or feedback on the art and people exclaiming what they feel or how they really like the image that I've created, I know that I'm touching them in some way. So I'm sure that's the same for you in your creativity, that